it's a big problem for us in England.
For kids to play in tournament football, it's a must.
I think they're crucial to the overall development of the young players.
That there aren't these sorts of tournaments in England.
Why do you feel that there's such a lack of tournaments such as the Youdan in the UK as it stands now?
That's an interesting question. So when I was a lad, the philosophy surrounding boys' clubs and football amongst grassroots kids was that you won at all costs and you had to go out and it was all competitive. Then I think probably through the pioneering work of Howard Wilkinson and Dave Richardson in terms of growing academy football, there was a huge switch to skills development. The pendulum swung from the 70s mentality of, go out and win at all costs to the creation of a structured approach to technical development for young footballers through the academy structure. There seemed to be a massive emphasis and perhaps overemphasis on that element of the development of the game as opposed to the competitive element of it. So that almost has been sacrificed in a way. Whereas other countries in Europe and overseas actually embrace that format, that competitive format, as part of their technical development. So they've perhaps, the pendulum's balanced out a little bit more in their case, and they've got that balance between competition and technical development. I think we're just looking to bring that back into kilter again in this country. And, I'm delighted to say that's an opportunity that Youdan Trophy's managed to step in and fill.
I was away in Portugal working with different coaches from Spain, Portugal, Germany and Holland, and those guys are going in tournaments in their country almost every month. Each age group is playing every month, or at least every couple of months they're playing in tournaments. They're playing in 10 to 12 tournaments in a year. Maybe they'll go abroad for one or two, but the majority will all be in their own country. So obviously that reduces the costs massively, and they're being put into those kind of pressure competitive situations. And then there's no surprise then when our boys go and play for England and the likes, and when we get to the final stage where the pressure gets to us and the players are not as calm and composed and creative as we thought they were in training. It's exactly the same here with the boys, because they're not used to this. They kind of turn into typical English players where they're running around headless and 100 miles an hour, got to get the ball to the goal. Whereas in training, they're putting into practice everything we work on. Dealing with the pressures are a massive part of football. And it's something that we're falling behind with at the moment, I think.
We were having a conversation around the table last night regarding the tournaments. We have to travel away to different countries for tournaments and different places, and it's just nice to have a tournament of good standard and good quality teams come to our city, and with it being nearby, and it's a good competition.
There's very, very few, if any, real quality tournaments in the UK, and a tournament like this, I think, is badly needed. We tend to fly to mainland Europe or to the States or anywhere to get real competitive games in a tournament format. So I think this tournament provides something unique in the UK, and I think the organisation has been fantastic. Everything surrounding the tournament has been first class, and I think that this tournament is something that we would like to compete in on a regular basis, and I'm sure we'll grow from strength to strength.
It's important that we support things like this as well as professional football clubs. Certainly we're keen on supporting it because it's tournament football, and we feel that that's what our kids need at this age. We should be exposing the kids more to tournament football, and this is ideal being on the doorstep for us.
You know, we can't be short-term thinkers when it comes to development, because essentially it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we need to believe in what we're doing. But then, you know, there are also some big flaws within the system. Young players not being given the opportunity to experience first team and competitive football and playing at a higher level. And they end up playing in the under-21 league for too long, or they don't get that valuable experience.
You know, there's other countries that have been doing these sort of tournaments for years, and we've got contacts around the world in different tournaments, and so we're talking to them, we're talking to the clubs that have taken part, because we want to be the best tournament and the go-to tournament in Europe.
I think there's things we can learn in football from all around the world. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's on the refereeing and official side, all the way down to how we approach youth and grassroots football. I think it's a developing stage at the moment that's going forward. And like I said, the Youdan is one big competition that everybody will hopefully be looking forward to in years to come as a big mark in grassroots football.
The academy system has changed a lot from when I started playing for Sheffield United. It was more of a school of excellence, which just ran during the week, 1 to twice a week, doing coaching sessions, the odd game here and there. Didn't really have the academies. You wasn't signed up at 7, 8 years old, which the kids are now, and the quality of coaching they're getting from such a young age. It was different. I'm not saying it's necessarily better. I still think the sign for the academy is far too young. I think it should be something that's probably done in the senior schools, and they can still run the training for the younger ones, but I think they need to play a bit of grassroots football and not so much pressure at such a young age. It's changed a lot from when I was obviously younger.
Well, I think there's a big emphasis now on the kind of physical side of the game, kind of players making sure that they look after themselves, the kind of psychological side of the game as well, so that they're constantly thinking about the kind of good habits and the kind of lifestyle that they have to lead to become a football player.
A couple of decades ago, the emphasis was on power and strength, if you like. And it's a man's game sort of thing, and that was a main emphasis. But I feel now the technical aspect has come to the fore, mainly through the Spanish setup, if you like, and also the South American setup with Brazil and that. I think countries over say England and Australia in particular, have really taken that on board, if you like, and basically used that as a template for their own game.
I think it's probably a lot more emphasis on the technical development of the young players as opposed to the win-at-all-cost mentality. I think we're now trying to try and bring both. I think we want to develop tactically and technically astute young players, but also ones who have that desire and hunger to win games, but trying to win them in the right manner, and hopefully that comes across our play this week.
You Are the Ref has been around for nearly 60 years. Paul Trevelyan, the master of movement, the guy that did Roy of the Rovers, the world's greatest sports illustrator, created You Are the Ref. That's run in the Observer and the Guardian for years and years, answering questions about quirky things in football and what referees do about it. So Keith Hackett is a very big part of that. Keith does the technical answers, Paul does the drawing, and we saw the opportunity to extend the You Are the Ref idea, but take it into a media environment where we can create a conversation about refereeing, about how referees tick, what makes them work, and all the related aspects to that to do with training and development of young referees, as well as educating football fans, players, coaches, parents, everybody involved in the world of football.
It links nicely, the tournament, the history, all gels together. You know, we're about educating and improving the standard of officiating around the world. You know, I go to the States, I've been across to Asia, Africa, South America, running workshops, and this is what You Are the Ref is about. There's a lot of education and information that can be passed to players that helps their careers going forward. They don't have to be referees, but if they've got a knowledge of the laws and how to deal with them and how to handle them on the field of play and how to handle, if you like, the referees, some that have good games, some that don't, how to deal with those issues, then they're just a bit better prepared to enhance their career.
Keith and I have been out travelling across the world looking at different ways that training and development of referees takes place. That involved looking at a number of football tournaments. And on one trip over in the States, we decided that we really needed a football tournament in Sheffield.
And so we decided that a tournament based in Sheffield would be the way forward. In the city that's got a huge history in the game.
All the Sheffield firsts, first club, first ground, the home of the rules of the game. And when you go back to one of the lesser known firsts of Sheffield football, which is the first ever football competition, you find that there was an entrepreneur back in the 1860s who had the vision to host a football competition. A guy called Thomas Youdan ran theatres in the town and so on and so forth. But it was the world's first ever competitive football event.
And that is one of the reasons we decided to go for the name of the Youdan Trophy, to create a tournament very similar to the one in America called the Dallas Cup, involving all levels of football, all ages, and giving people the opportunity of visiting this wonderful city of ours.
So the starting point is, let's get the clubs on board. So Keith and I met with a former colleague of Keith's from the Premier League, a guy called Dave Richardson. Dave is the chairman of the PFCA, the Professional Football Coaches Association, and the natural person to go to talk about club engagement. Him and Howard Wilkinson were instrumental in creating the academy structure, and through that and through all these contacts internationally, it was natural that we then had a conversation with Dave. We met up with him down at East Midlands Airport and said, look, Dave, we would like you to be part of this tournament format that we're going to be creating. How do you think we can engage the clubs? What age group should we involve, etc., so that we could not necessarily impinge upon the existing tournaments that are out there, which are mainly overseas, but also to ensure that we could maximise the involvement and engagement in our tournament this year to give it the best chance.
I'll go to a meeting in September in Germany, very likely, whereby all the tournaments in Europe come together. So they discuss, you know, who they're inviting, as well as other things that are cropping up at the moment, how they've gone about getting their sponsors, etc. As a result of my input, hopefully we'll extend the number of clubs, the variation in the clubs from different parts of the world, and look forward to sort of advancing the tournament in future years.
Then we needed to work on engaging the Sheffield community. A partnership of all the main stakeholders in the city council, the universities, the football clubs, youartheref.com, organisations such as the Meadowhall Shopping Centre, Blenheim, Brew and Bean, iPro Sport, organisations that we want to see benefit from the tournament as well. Our primary group this year has been the Sheffield Children's Hospital. So during the course of the tournament, we've been keen to try and raise as much money as we can for them. But a huge part of it is, where are the players going to stay during the life of the tournament? And the natural fit for us was to speak with Sheffield University. There's a fantastic facility at the Edge where they have 3,000 beds, basically empty at that time of the year. There's a hub there, which is a great social centre. So you've got an environment where all the players have their own individual bedroom, ensuite, within a safe, enclosed environment of the university campus. Coaches, you know, can be relaxed because they know that the players are looked after. Each accommodation block has a sitting room area within that block where the players can have their team meetings and get together as a group away from the other teams. They can book meeting rooms there if they need to, if they want a formal meeting room to look at DVDs. And we provided DVDs of all the matches every day so that they could take that and look at the day's match and use that as part of their coaching for the next day. So everybody's co-located. We've got the referees that have come in from overseas, staying in the accommodation block with the players and the coaches. So there's a dialogue going on all the time. Our staff are talking to the coaches, our staff are talking to the referees, the players, making sure that everybody's happy during the course of the... So if there's any issues crop up at any time, team liaisons are picking it up, and if they're not picking it up, the referees are, the UUR, the ref coaches are picking it up. So the whole thing works really well.
What's immediately sort of stood out here is that you've got all of the teams staying on the same facility, which I think is excellent. So, you know, the boys being around different people, but also the teams that they're playing against daily are actually staying at the same venue as well. So it's been really interesting looking at the group dynamics and how they sort of interact with each other and who sort of stays away from the groups as well. So I think that's been excellent.
The accommodation has been good. It's been good where the players have had their own bed to sleep in, but at the same time they've been in an area around other players so they get to know each other and socialise. In the dining room, they'll socialise with the other teams as well, which is great because we're all eating at the similar times. And then the pitches have been excellent.
At the beginning of the week, the teams were very much within their teams. By the end of the week, the players are mixing and the coaches are mixing. We've had some very good social events for the players and the coaches. And so it's been fantastic. The atmosphere has been absolutely brilliant at the playing facilities and at the accommodation.
The other half of the jigsaw between the accommodation is obviously where are the matches going to be held, where we're going to play the games. And Hallam University, the other great player in the city, has a fantastic facility called Sport Park. One of the coaches said to me one day, he says that when they play in tournaments abroad, they sometimes have to play matches or in this venue and then they have to bus it to another venue and play another match. They don't have to do that at Sport Park. It's all on one facility. All the pitches are exactly of the same standard, which were immaculate. There's more than enough changing rooms there for them, the match officials, etc. So once they get to Sport Park, that's it. We provided all the equipment and the kit and the balls and the training balls. That could all be left there with all the supplies of the drinks. We're fortunate that iPro Sport energy drinks provided energy drinks for the players during the whole tournament.
Yeah, I think the facilities in Sheffield have been absolutely first class. Hallam University, I mean, the playing surface there has been absolutely outstanding. And for, I think, the Youdan Trophy to be in Sheffield, I think to bring it here and to have such good facilities has not only helped the players playing the game, it's also helped the match officials, you know, as they're performing in their matches.
From the first two matches, we've also been very impressed with the standard of the surfaces here. So the pitches and the changing room facilities. So, you know, we think that in terms of the living accommodation here and the food and the hotel, etc., has been very good. And then also from the playing perspective, the facilities of the pitches have been excellent. So, you know, so far in that respect, in terms of hospitality, it's just been very good for us.
So just little touches like that just makes life easier for the coaches, the players, so they know they've got that consistency every day. They're not turning up at a different venue. It's all there for them. So we're very blessed in this city to have these facilities, the accommodation, the playing facilities, and to have the support of Wednesday and United for things like finals and so forth. We decided that for this first year, having played around with several formats, it was crucial that we had a manageable event, that we could actually deliver a successful format and that the clubs would be delighted. So, conscious of the age groups that were taking part in other tournaments around that time of the year, we spoke with some of the coaches and the local clubs just to say, look, what would be the appropriate age group? Big input from Dave Richardson on that. We settled on under 14s. That seems to be the age group that just naturally fitted between the other age groups and the other tournaments. 8 teams took part this year, 2 groups of 4, group matches Monday to Wednesday, semi-finals on the Thursday, and then after the group games we split that into a plate competition so that there was opportunities for the teams that haven't made it through to the full Youdan Trophy to actually compete further and take part in a separate plate competition, which ensured that there was playing time for all the teams all the way through from Monday to Friday. And a key driver for us was picking up on the need for competitive football for these academy sides. So we added in a little bit of spice at the end of each group match. All the players would take part in a penalty kick competition.
So in the group games and the semi-finals, every team, irrespective of the result, took 5 penalties. Because what we wanted to do was give players the opportunity of taking penalties within competition stress. And the feedback from the coaches and the players has been fantastic. You know, coaches have said to us that they've learnt more about their players at the end of a match when they say to them, "You're now taking penalties," than they have done in a long time. So that's been a very successful part of the tournament and is a great development tool for the players.
It's a tournament that's been micromanaged to make certain everything was taken care of. And Jock, along with James Oakgill and the team at URF have put together.
We specifically looked at the sort of teams that we wanted, and we've got 2 teams from Glasgow, we've got 2 teams from Sheffield, and we've got 2 teams from London. And then we've got an Australian team and another Southern team. But very specifically with those 3 sets of clubs, we targeted them because back in the 1860s, the 3 hotbeds of football were London, Sheffield and Glasgow. And so again, looking at the heritage, we wanted to pull today into what was back in the 1860s. And I think we've done that successfully with those clubs that have come in.
That selection of teams fits our international aspirations to grow this as an international tournament. We want more Nerang Eagles. We're confident that based on the success, the feedback that we've had from other clubs is that there will be more international teams coming on board next year. Tournaments like the Youdan Trophy and the format that we've got, where it's a residential competition, they're away from home for the week. They have to adjust to that and they have to work within their squad, within their group, socialise with the players. It puts a lot of demands on an individual who has then got to go out every day and perform in a competitive way to make sure that their team wins. It gives the coach a good opportunity to see them conduct themselves hopefully in a professional way, and they can see which characters are coming out as strong, ones that need a little bit more support, and the ones that perhaps can't really cope with that kind of lifestyle as potential future footballers is going to be part of their life going forward. So it gives them a rounded view, but all comes back to the need for competitive football.
For kids to play in tournament football, it's a must, to learn the hazards of getting through rounds, getting to semi-finals, quarter-finals and the like, and obviously trying to get to the final. So it's a great learning curve for young footballers, and the more the merrier, really, yeah.
Well, I think it certainly gives them a kind of insight of playing against different teams, different formations, and it gives them an insight of how a football player progresses his career, because obviously big stars are playing in tournaments, World Cups, Euros, so that's almost like a kind of mini version for young players coming through.
Well, I think it develops a bit of a winning mentality. The kids at the minute are playing sort of development games in the academy programmes, and there doesn't seem to be anything at the end of it other than their development. And I think part of their development is learning how to win, and putting them in a winning and losing environment like tournament football will encourage that.
To come away and spend a week together, because they only spend one evening a week training, but to come away and spend a week together is fantastic for them. Life experiences as well as the football.
We learn probably more about the kids this week than we will throughout the season, and it's a really good opportunity for us, a real good experience for the kids, and they'll make the most of it, and they will do for the rest of the week.
I think they're crucial to the overall development of the young players. I think they need to be exposed to playing best v best on a more regular basis. I think the competitive environment where it's a tournament environment, you're playing for points, we're playing for knockout, and we're playing for places within the tournament is I think is good. Our regular games programme in Scotland is non-competitive or non-trophy football. So being here and having a purpose and playing games for points, etc., I think gives the boys a different experience.
The friendships that develop, the connections that develop. I think the boys, all of the boys taking part, this will stick in their memories. All youngsters, when they take part in a tournament, they remember those tournaments. And I think that in itself leads them to want to encourage people later on in life to go into tournaments. It's important that those youngsters, when they get older, think, well, hold on, I enjoyed this. And hopefully that rubs off on another area of kids, and group of kids later on in life.
It allows you to have a more holistic approach towards player development in terms of tapping into the four corners. I think we're very good at the technical and the tactical side within the academies, but this type of tournament allows you to see the boys socially off the field and psychologically, how they deal with the tournament demands and the tournament football of playing 5 games in 5 days. How do they feel when they're left out of the team, or they maybe don't play as long as other players? And then you also get players who really respond to it and really strive in that environment where they sort of surprise you.
The psychological part is massive. It's massive. It's probably half, if not more, of their makeup in terms of if they're going to make it or not. How psychologically strong they are, how they deal with failure, making mistakes, how driven they are. And you see it more in these situations because the players are a bit more tired, they're on their own, they haven't got mum and dad and you see them, they get upset about maybe silly things and what you think is silly or nothing, but they'll get upset about it because of their emotions. They'll get frustrated with each other and with the coaches. Maybe if they're not playing the position they want to play, or if they don't get as many minutes as they would like to get. The psychological side of football is incredible. For me, it's one of the biggest parts. If you can get players that are driven and want to progress and are able to deal with that failure and understand that it's a part of learning and to develop and improve, then I think you're on to a winner. But it's really hard because the kids are really fragile, I think, a lot of them.
I think just the time factor of being in an environment like this allows you to do so much more with the players and educate them in different areas of their lives. And, what we found massive already is the players understanding when we train, when we rest, when the matches are, how we prepare in relation to when our games are, what we do after, the match analysis, both individual and the units and the team integration has been a real good education for them. Whereas in normal games, they may just come on a Sunday, play, and then obviously go. And then we may do some of that stuff at other times, but it's given us a great opportunity to educate the players in terms of being a professional footballer, which is ultimately what they're aspiring to do. So it's been great in that respect.
What do they learn here? Well, Charlton Athletic play a lot differently to the way Sheffield United do. Sheffield United tend to play the ball around, but at a slower pace, if you like, with a slower build-up, whereas Charlton Athletic move the ball around, but they move it quicker and they hit you very, very hard and quick. So our boys have learned differentiating between the two games. So
I'll come away from this tour knowing every single thing about the individuals in terms of what are they like when no one's around, because you just see them, how they conduct themselves. What are they like without parents, how professional they are and how determined and focused they are to try and be the best, both on and off the pitch. Emotionally, how they can cope, socially, how they can interact with different players. And then on the pitch, which obviously the big one is just dealing with pressure. It affects them so much. And I believe the massive reason for that is because they're not getting enough practice of it. And again, abroad, they have leagues from under 9 all the way up. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a good thing, because I think that can add pressure and coaches can think about just winning all the time. But I think if we can couple how we have it in terms of you play an academy team every weekend and you try and develop, but then you've got a tournament every month that you're trying to play your way but in a more pressurised situation, then I think we'll be getting much closer to where we want to get to.
I think the teams taking part are of a very high standard, so it gives us a real opportunity to pit our wits against some of the other best teams in the UK and also from further afield. So I think the competition is excellent, and also the opportunity to come down and spend time away from Glasgow with the boys so they can develop socially and we can develop that bond we have with the young players. So it's a good opportunity for us to be away.
And they have to cope with disappointment, they have to cope with the physical demands of the week, they have to cope with the pressure of maybe volunteering to take penalty kicks and be the one that is shown to be taking a penalty kick and not hiding away at the back of the group. So it challenges the players on a number of levels. We were keen to ensure that during the course of the week we could add in some learning experiences for the players. So it wasn't just about playing football and going back to the accommodation. We put together a programme of opportunities for the clubs to take up if they wanted to do, from anything from 10-pin bowling to crazy golf. If they want to go over to the National Football Museum in Manchester for the day, go to Chatsworth and see some of the historical buildings in the area. So there's a full programme of that. Some clubs ran their own programmes within that. We were keen that we allocated to each club a team liaison officer, and that was one of our staff, and they stayed with each club through the course of the week. So anything that the clubs wanted, our team liaison officers organised that for them. Whatever they needed, they got. There was a whole programme during the course of the week, so it wasn't just turning up, playing football matches and going back. We're trying to make this a more rounded experience. A couple of the things that we set in the agenda is that we had a social evening one of the nights for the head coaches, where we had a dinner and an informal discussion group across the coaches and across our staff, so that we could learn from them and then pick up on their experiences and vice versa.
The evening we have tonight, a more social night with the coaches from all the teams, and it's good to chat and discuss ideas and concepts and how we do things at our club and get ideas of how other clubs operate. So it's good to share information.
That same night, for the players, we gave them the opportunity to learn about the careers of two former international players, Kevin Davis and Carlton Palmer.
Me and Carlton Palmer have come over tonight just to try and give them a bit of advice, a few tips, and their hopefully long journey into becoming a professional footballer. So we're just trying to share some of our stories over our careers, talk about the rejections, the brutalness of football, and just to try and give them some advice to try and combat that, 'cause inevitably it will come. So for me, that was the main sort of aim coming over. Don't get yourself too down about those bad moments in football. They're all very good players. That's why they're all in the room, and it's how they react to those disappointments.
When we decided that we wanted to put on a football tournament, we wanted to use that as the opportunity to hothouse referee training and development. In the tournament format, we've got a great opportunity in a short space of time to work closely with a group of referees and help them improve their performances during the life cycle of that tournament.
You Are the Ref is not just a website, it's a team of individuals who've had great knowledge and great skill and experience at the very highest levels of the game. So first of all, they were the coach appointed to the specific games, and they would have a one-to-one discussion with the referee, critiquing his performance, offering advice, and then in the evening we had workshop environments. So we perhaps gave detail of nutrition, of how to improve fitness levels, how to officiate, decision making. So we were able to take some of the incidents out of the games to demonstrate those to the individuals and how to improve their career.
Well, one of the things I've found is that we've given referees advice earlier in the week on certain areas, and they've taken this on board in a positive manner. So we've seen in later games through the week that areas that we've discussed earlier in the week, they've then actually put that into practice. And that's really pleasing when you can see as a coach that a referee has put something into practice and they actually say, yes, it's helped improve my performance.
To foster good relationships between the players who are at a very young, informative age and recognise that referees are human beings. I think that there was a good camaraderie between players and referees out on the field, off the field as well. And I think that will advance the players' careers going forward.
What's been really, really important is the referees have been speaking to the young players, giving the players an understanding about refereeing, because it's maybe something that the kids don't really know about. And obviously the referee plays a really, really important part in the game, and it's been great to see the referees kind of integrating with the kids and speaking to them during the games and kind of educating them as well.
Well, the teams overall have been really positive about the referees' performance. They've been impressed. In their words, it's really been a benefit of the tournament to have such good quality officials and also coaches working with them hand in hand so that we can get the best out of the Youdan tournament. So it's looking at two ways. Whilst the players are looking to improve their performance with the coaches, we're doing similar with the referees and also the assistant referees and fourth officials, looking to improve their performance as well.
We get to meet, other referees of a vast, different ranges, different styles, different levels. You can learn from them. You can learn what to do, what not to do sometimes as well. Especially at tournaments like this, different levels of football. Some of us get experience with different levels that we wouldn't at home and stuff as well. So it's good in that way.
So I was out with Darren Handley, level 1 referee on Football League. Great experience. So much taken in from him from the first time I was out with him. Even if it's fourth official stuff you learn from doing that, it's him talking to you the way he wants you to adapt your game, adapt to his game. It's fantastic.
And those shared experiences across many, many years of officiating have a huge value content. And that careful process, I think, resulted in a definite positive aspect of refereeing performances throughout the tournament.
As the story unfolded about the Youdan Trophy, we need a trophy for the final. Well, it had to be Graham Ibison. As you or the ref have sought to support the work that he's doing to create Arthur Wharton statues and the statues at West Brom for Laurie Cunningham and Brendan Batson and Cyril Regis. We've been a big supporter of those initiatives.
I had to do something different. This is about, I just didn't want to do a lad running with football. I wanted to do something figurative, something that was kind of about movement. It's about energy, it's about youth. So I came up with 3 conjoined figures and trying to make something different and something I hadn't seen before. It spans 3 centuries, 19th, 20th and the 21st. So it's about that, but most of all it's about movement and energy.
Graham just seized the idea and went away and came up with this iconic trophy that is now the Youdan Trophy. When we set out to deliver a tournament, it had to be in Sheffield. We had to have the final at Bramall Lane. It was the home of the first ever competitive football tournament final in 1867. It was a natural fit.
As an organisation, we offered the public free entry, and we got a good crowd. But it was good to give the 2 teams the opportunity of playing on a quality ground, which in effect is a Premier League environment.
I think that's a fantastic opportunity for us as Charlton Athletic Football Club, as well as the boys, to go there and experience a big stadium. Bramall Lane obviously is just going to be very exciting for all of us.
Fantastic event on the 31st of July at Bramall Lane. Glasgow Rangers played Charlton Athletic on an absolutely brand new pitch on a full-size stadium at Bramall Lane, the world's first ever professional football ground. I think the Youdan Trophy story's only just begun. It was our hope that we could run a successful tournament this year as a blueprint for the years to come. And I'm delighted to say, from all the feedback that I've had, that I think we've achieved what we wanted to do this year. So that gives us the confidence to go into next year and expand the number of teams at 14, bring in a 16s competition, and bring in something that we're dear to do is a girls' competition, and then grow that in terms of the next couple of years, but add to it with a grassroots competition so that teams from all over Europe, the world, can come and take part in Youdan Trophy. So I think what we'll see is a growth in the international mix of the clubs, a growth in the numbers of teams participating, the inclusion of a grassroots competition, and very important and close to the heart of youartheref.com is the international mix of referees that are coming to officiate these tournaments.
Bigger and better, and that's a real task for the You Are The Ref team, make no mistake.
Well, everything has to start in a small way, and eventually one could see this developing into an international tournament. There are tournaments that take place around the world at different places, and I think if you like, the foundations of a good tournament have been made this week.
I've enjoyed it throughout. I think the competition of playing a good mixture of teams, but all big, massive clubs as well, has been great for the players and for the staff to see. And just really being in a tournament in England is great, because we don't really have any tournaments in England, so that's good.
It's the beginning of something really, really big. So far it's been great for us. All the referees have been treated really well. All the transport and all the facilities have been fantastic to train with. Referee coaches, assessors, all fantastic feedback so far.
Yeah, I think the whole journey since we came down has been first class. I think the welcome that we've had, and each game's been a real challenge for the boys, and that's exactly what we're looking for. A challenge for the boys on the pitch, but also to educate them at the same time.